Vocabulary influences the way we interact with people around us and their perceptions of us. For example, the voice you use with your peers is not the same voice you would use with your grandmother. Likewise, in writing, the voice you use for a text is not the same voice you use for an essay. So, if we agree on the importance of vocabulary, how do we help our students remember words? If I give a student a list of 30 new words, they might do a decent job memorizing for a quiz only to forget them, or they might work at retaining the words, but there are so many and they recall half. Why don't they stick? The answer is context. We connect new words to something already learned. These connections are how we can later recall and use the new word. An average student can learn 10 new words a week. Really learn them. This makes our list of 30 words obviously an overshoot. It was never realistic that a student can really learn those 30 words. Let's talk about some vocabulary activities that can help give context and build retention. Think of all the new vocabulary words your students encounter in science, geography, history, math, and of course, literature. Literature is your #1 source for vocabulary words. I like the idea of kids keeping a sticky note in their books where they can jot down unfamiliar words. Use these words to try creating a word wall in your learning space. As a new word comes up, it gets added to the list. This keeps your kids' radar tuned in to looking for new words and makes it fun rather than awkward to admit you don't know a word. By the end of the week, you have a list of words. Your kids have seen the words in their lessons and made the first connection. Now you can do some cool stuff with them. This group effort works really well if you have kids doing a subject together or maybe a family read aloud. It could be interesting to pull words from different levels and subjects and see what they have in common at the end of the week. You could group science words, literature words, and social studies words, for example, then proceed. Many activities can be created with index cards. They're inexpensive and great for memorizing and learning. By isolating a word from your list, your brain takes a little snapshot. Let's call these our word cards. Write the word, definition, a sample sentence, and maybe some sort of drawing to help you recall the word. An auditory learner can read them aloud, associating the sound with the word. A visual learner can add an illustration. It may be something cute made from the first letter or a small drawing that they associate with the word. A kinesthetic learner might color the picture, pace as they read their word cards or tap their fingers to the syllables. Circling back to our word wall, what if your list gets really long? It's time to triage. First, every student writes their words in their best handwriting. Next, each student will rank the words 3, 2, or 1. Give the word a 3 if it's new and you cannot use it correctly. Assign a 2 to the words you've seen but are uncertain you can use properly. And finally, put a 1 next to the words you know and can use. Guess what you just did? You had each child create a list of word cards that they're going to make. The 3s are the words for the cards, the 2s are maybes, and the 1s can be eliminated. Keeping in mind that most kids can retain 10 new words a week, you may have to add or remove words accordingly. As you make more cards, let each student edit their stack. If they can correctly use the word on the card, it can be removed from their stack. Seeing progress is encouraging for everyone. They can pull out their stack of word cards daily for review, and boom, their vocabulary is thoughtfully and systematically growing. It's also a quiet activity they can do when waiting for your time. You can punch a hole in the cards and put them on a book ring. To add another visual component, sort the cards by nouns, verbs, adjectives. Write nouns in one color, verbs in another color. By giving that color association, you're making one more contextual connection. And these connections lead to retention. Before we even play with the cards, they've handled these words 8 times. Looking at the list all week, copying the list, grouping the words, triaging the list, writing the word cards, doing the definitions, writing sentences, and then color coding them. Now that we have our cards, let's play some games. Create a game show where one student gives clues to make another say the word for a point. Ask every student to sort out the nouns from their word cards and play charades. Pull out 3 random word cards and tell a silly story. Create a bingo game where you read the definitions and they have to find the word on a handmade bingo card. Each child can write the words on a grid. It can be 5 by 5 or even just 3 by 3. Kids can make games with their words, anything from word searches using graph paper, a card game matching words to definitions, or simply hangman on a whiteboard. Am I getting carried away? Well, maybe. But learning new words is just so much fun. I love learning where words came from and new ways of using them. I love them so much I learned French just to learn more words. Whether you source your words from your school day or you add a workbook to build your students' vocabulary, it can be fun and not so time-consuming for you, the busy parent-teacher. By thoughtfully teaching vocabulary, you're building your child's ability to communicate in speech and writing. Vocabulary is worth the effort. If you have questions on vocabulary programs or other materials, contact our consultant team by phone at 888-841-3456, email at consultants@rainbowresource.com, or online chat via our website. To see more curriculum and supplemental content from Rainbow Resource, be sure to like and subscribe.